So this is my build submission for the third bounty, which is most creative build. It's a Sigh of Shards, Creeping Frost, Ascendant. Why Ascendant? Because I had two options, Gladiator and Scion. And I was going to pick Gladiator because that's just bleed and pale and shit. So let me show you what the build is like for Claire. I've been farming Abyss pretty hard because I just trying to get to 95 and quit.
I have nothing more to give.
So build is pretty tanky. I can pretty much close my eyes. I said I can pretty much close my eyes and map. Just throw traps and walk in circles. We've got the Grace, Determination, Defiance banner.
Can I not have but a moment's respite?
So in here I have cluster traps because it does help to clear quite a bit. The only thing I can consider to be more damage is like increased cold or added cold damage. It's not that much more damage. I only jump swap for like uber bosses and whatever. But this is cluster traps. Clears much more like ice trap in my opinion. On my flask, I have a phasing flask, Quicksilver, crit flask, and granite flask. The only mandatory thing is pretty much the phasing and the Quicksilver, so you can just throw your traps and walk forward. I don't really need the crit because I have a ton of increased crit from all over my tree, and with like power charges and stuff. I just put it in because, you know, whatever. So it's a pretty okay build mapping wise. The Claire isn't too bad for the amount of investment we've got into it. And it's got pretty good damage too. We've got Heroic right here, about to be bodied. I accidentally rode Burly Ground on my boots and now I have to play like this. So that's the clear. Then go back in town here. So I should explain the interaction a bit more if people don't quite understand. This is your trap, and this is the enemy. There's a minimum distance for which the trap triggers. That's like the trap trigger area of effect. When your enemy is within the trap trigger area of effect, Creeping Frost will trigger, and it will trigger on the location that the target is. So one projectile is guaranteed to hit the target, and that's one, and all the other projectiles will fire in a radius around where that enemy was. So this is one AoE, another AoE, another one here, another one here, and another one here. And the funny thing with Pierce is that this first projectile, actually you get 2 times the damage from it. So it hits once, and then pierces the target, and then AoE comes behind it. So we're getting 6 hits per trap throw of Creeping Frost. Now if you're just clearing the enemies too far away from the trap to get hit by all 6 of them, they'll probably get hit by at most 3. But if you're bossing with probably added cold and not cluster traps, you throw the trap directly on the enemy and everything just comes and unleashes in a circle. That's where most of your damage comes from. And this is my gear, Life Suppress. We have Dream Fragments here because mana is a bit of a problem. To be able to throw traps freely without any worry of mana costs, I'm using Inspiration, a level 20 Clarity, Dream Fragments, and I'm expecting some mana nodes right here. I should show you my tree right now. I picked Scion because I had two options of Gladiator and Ascendant. There's not much to do with Gladiator besides Bleed, Impale, and like Fizz Dot. So I chose Scion, decided to make a build around it. I actually went Inquisitor first because I needed to rush Path of the Templar because these nodes are just so good. We've got some mana regen because we actually really need that. Life, life, crit, spell stuff, life, life, and this is the big damage nodes. Here we've got some spell block, attack block, whatever. We've got some really big crit nodes right here, and then this mastery, 60% crit multi if you haven't done a crit strike recently. This is quite a bit more damage, I think about 14% on POB. This is always active because we're a trap build. We get this all the time, we never hit. The only thing this wouldn't be active if I spam Frostblink and accidentally crit with it. We also have some really good reservation nodes right here in our effect. Some life, some crit. And over here is our defensive stuff. We've got a lot of the trap stuff over here as well. We've got some suppression, some spell crit, trap, 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 and then ghost dance. This suppression node right here, Instinct, is insane. Recover 50 energy shield when you suppress spell damage. There's so many things. Maybe this is just because I've been running Abyss a lot. They deal with very little amount of spell damage. And so this makes you just pretty much stay topped off. We've also got the trap regen stuff from the Saboteur node, which is 10% per second. Really good. That's where all our sustain come from. We've got Grace, Determination, Defiance Banner in one of my links somewhere. We've got Beard Trap because, you know, broken damage. And Profane Proxy, don't use this. I only use this because I don't want to press my curses and I don't have a curse ring. I have a +2 amulet. I got this off of Fluorclad. Thanks for this. This is like 10% more damage than the Pandemonious. You can use a Pandemonious if you want to. Belt with life, trap throwing speed. I don't think trap throwing speed helps too much because a lot of the times I notice that I have a lot of traps left waiting to have them triggered even when I'm on a boss. This only happens with cluster traps though. With added cold it's a lot better. So just throw the trap, everything overlaps in just one small circle. I did try using charge traps for a while. It wasn't bad, but added cold is just so much better. So yeah, that's the build. Cyber Shards, Creeping Frost, Shotgun. Now in a beta class interview, Chris Wilson did mention that there's some bug builds in the game that haven't been nerfed because they specifically didn't want to nerf anything this league. This might be one of them. I really hope not. I really hope he was just talking about DD Ignite. Really strong league starter, by the way, because Cyber Shards card, the Lunaris Priestess, pretty much drops anywhere. Drops in Cold River, Lunaris Temple, and those kind of zones, pretty much. I got this before I hit tier 3 maps. 6th link took me about 26 fusings to camp. Might be as lucky as me, might not be. So yeah, that's the thing. I would actually get my support gems in this order. Trap support, Trap and Mind Damage, Creeping Frost, and Inspiration. Increased crit and cluster traps can come much later. You really need Inspiration to solve your mana problems because, yeah, unless you want to run a mana flask. I just realized I have a item level 4 Quicksilver, whatever. So yeah, that's the build. Goodbye.